the bhavas, and we have concluded till 8 bhavas, I think we have completed. Now coming to the 9th bhava. Ninth bhava is also called as the Guru bhava. Is considered to be the most auspicious among the bhavas. Like it is considered to be the bhava of luck, the bhava of guru, the bhava of father, the bhava of healing, the bhava of medicines, the bhava of spirituality, anything connected with spirituality. That is the 9th house. Gurujana Parapunyan Aushadham Bhagya Siddhim Navama Bhavanara. So from the 9th house, we need to evaluate these things, like the bhava of everything that we consider differently auspicious. Like we generally consider good, not easy, but good, and also like auspicious, and also like a very like blessing, as I said, blessing. That is the 9th house. So any planet in the 9th house generally in that direction. That means in a horoscope, like if you're actually analyzing the spiritual path of a person, generally it is connected with the 9th house. So it is also called as the dharma sthana, because what is the dharma of a person? That question is mostly answered by the 9th house. So that is why the most purest of the houses, that is the 9th house. Now coming to the 10th house. 10th house is the house of job. Job means work, or like what you are actually doing. What you are actually doing is what called as karma, and 10th house is considered to be the karma sthana, and anything that is connected with karma, that is the 10th house. So the 9th house basically is what you are actually supposed to do, or what you should do. And 10th house basically is actually what are doing, or like what exactly that you are doing. That is why Can you hear me?
Yes, it's fine now, Dr. Vikas.
Okay. So I'm happy if it is better.
Yes. Gigi.
So I will just repeat the 9th house, because I don't know how much you have heard. Next time, if you are not listening, please tell faster. So the 9th house is basically the house of dharma. It is anything that we consider auspicious, but not very easy to get. Anything that is part of our root, our source, that is actually the ninth house. So our ancestry is ninth house. Luck is ninth house. Father is ninth house. Spirituality is ninth house. Medicines is ninth house. Healing capacity of the body is ninth house. Anything connected with any of this further is also ninth house. So that is the house of Punya. Ninth house has got a name called Punyasthana. So anything that is the grace, so the good karma that we have done in the previous uh, life, mostly it determines the status of the ninth house. So if somebody has got a very strong ninth house, it means that many of the grace has been done by that person in their previous life, and that is connected with the ninth house. So ninth house is the dharmasthana. So it shows what we are supposed to do, what exactly we are supposed to do. That is cleared by that is shown by the ninth house. Now, when it comes to the 10th house, it is the karmasthana. So basically, what you are actually doing. So what we are actually supposed to do, that is the ninth house. What we are actually doing in reality, that is the 10th house, the karmasthana. It is the house of our job, our career, our the fame that we are actually supposed to get, along with the ascendant. Ascendant has got a major stake in determining the fame of a person. But along um, along with the ascendant, it is like, how to say, like um, it determines the capacity, the fame a person can have. So there are sometimes in consultations, yesterday I got a question like how much I will be famous. The correct answer is in analyzing the ascendant and also the 10th house. Together they determines how much famous you can get and what type of fame, whether it is a fame in a good way or whether it is a fame in a bad way. So that is also determined by 10th house. 10th house is a house determining whether you are going to be a famous person or you are going to be a notorious person. So that is the 10th house. And it is also the like any the quality of the karma that we are doing. So basically you can estimate or you can understand a person's 10th house's capacity by just observing the way the quality in which that person is doing things. If you see like it is having a higher quality, it generally suggests that either that person has got a higher strength in the 10th house or that person has got a higher strength in the ascendant. So generally in the world, when we are actually looking people, it is because in the 10th house is a very fast house. That means later on we will go to that point, but they are actually belonging to the category of houses which we call the kendras. So everything will be pronounced in the kendras. That means if it is a 10th, if its 10th house is good, it will show, it will be clearly seen. So that is the 10th house. Like after this class, we are actually giving a small note on what we can expect from each planet in each houses. So in that there will be answers for all the planets in all the houses. If the ninth house is empty, that is an interesting question. If ninth house is empty means like it is very common rule for every astrological analysis, that like the ninth house empty means it should not have any planets. One, it should not have any how to say, like influence, like that means by aspect or like anything like that. The planet should not influence the ninth house. And there is also like there should not be like anything. If that is the case, then the ninth person's dharma will be determined by the lord of the ninth house. So in the planets session of the class, we have written like the lords of the signs. That means each planet has got lordship over the signs. So Aries is ruled by Mars, Taurus is by Venus, Gemini is by Mercury, Cancer is by Moon, Leo is by Sun, Virgo is by Mercury, Libra is by Venus, Scorpio is by Mars, Sagittarius by Jupiter, Capricorn and Aquarius by Saturn, and Pisces by Jupiter. So in which sign the ninth house is falling, that sign's lord will be the planet that is determining the dharma of the person. So if ninth house does not have a planet and there is no planets aspecting the ninth house, then the lord of that house will be the planet that is determining the dharma of that person. This rule applies to everything. That means if you don't have planets there, if you don't have planets aspecting, then the lord will determine the cases of, or like the affairs of that house will be determined by the lord of that sign. Now, the 11th house. 11th house is the house of gains. So basically, whatever gains, strengths, goodness that we have in the horoscope, like whatever strengths a person have got on their own, whatever like favors a person has got with their horoscope, that actually is determined by the 11th house. Because of that, like every planet actually is good in 11th house. 11th house is the only house where we can say every planet is good. Why every planet is good in the 11th house? Because it will give the strength, it will give the gain that is connected with that planet. Even if Saturn is in the 11th house, Saturn will give you the strengths and gains that are connected with Saturn. If Ketu is in the 11th house, Ketu will give you the strengths and gains connected with Ketu. If Venus is in the 11th house, Venus will give you the strengths and gains connected with Venus. So there is no planet that is actually bad in the 11th house. So 11th house are like the accessible things. 11th house are the things that are always present with us. So anything that is inside the 11th house, generally that will be always present with us. We will always have an clear access towards that. The most like the strengths that actually can take our life further, like improve our life, like these constant factors of constant development and improvement will be there in the 11th house. In the body, it is connected with the calf region, like legs, but in the lower legs, the calf region, that is where it is connected, the 11th house. 9th house is connected with the thigh region, 10th house is connected with the knee region, and 11th house is connected with the calf region of the body. So that is the 11th house. So any benefit that we get without our effort, 11th house is actually an effortless house. That means anything that we get in life to which we are not working, or to there is no necessity for us to work for that, anything that of that sort is actually 11th house. So more planets are influencing the 11th house, more things we will get like without working. That means the effort that we need to make will be negligible for something that is in our 11th house. If anything is present in the 11th house, we will get that naturally. Like there is no need for us to work for that in this world. We can actually use our time for different things rather than spending that in the 11th house. So basically, that is the 11th house. Yes. In 11th house is the only house that does not recognize a bad planet. 11th house is the only house that does not recognize a bad planet. So whatever influences in the 11th house, it will show. For an example, if the 8th house lord, because the most bad, one of the most bad planet, not one of the most planets, maybe the most bad planet in a horoscope is the lord of the 8th house. Even the lord of the 8th house is aspecting the 11th house. Generally they will get benefit from the 8th house things, the things like death, the things like transformation, the things like lineages, the things like esoteric acts. Those will be very beneficial if the 8th house is influencing the 11th house, even if the 8th house lord is in the 11th house. So we need to understand that.
Now,
um,
okay.
yes.
Dr. Vikas, suppose the eighth house lord is Saturn, and Saturn is placed in the 11th, say in Taurus, for instance,
Mhm.
it's a Cancer
Mhm.
ascendant.
Mhm.
So, what would be, so in this case, it is Saturn, which is, I don't know whether we should call it a bad planet. I don't consider it a bad planet. So, it's the most powerful. So what would be like if it is a Saturn, if it is Saturn, because Saturn is also supposed to be the best, one of the best places in 11th. Ji.
Yes, Saturn is not at all bad in that sense, because
Mm-hmm.
Saturn has got another houses also, which is where it will do nicely.
Yeah.
In third house it will do nicely.
Third
In
house,
sixth
yes.
house,
Third and 11th,
in
yes.
10th it will do nicely, and in 11th it will do very very nicely.
Very, very nicely, yes.
Yes. Any planet in the 11th house will give you the benefit of that planet,
Mhm.
because 11th house means un like every house is basically access. This may be something that we need to understand. If a planet is placed in a house, which means that either we can access that easily, or either we cannot access that energy easily.
Ji.
Saturn's placement in 11th house is means that we are having an amazing access to the energy of Saturn. Saturn will act naturally. Saturn will act on its own for our benefit. So that means we doesn't need to work on that Saturnian things. That will be naturally present in that person. So
And
that
the
is
eighth, there is a eighth. So if it is, say, for a Cancer ascendant, eighth lord is Saturn, and the same eighth is placed in 11th again.
any house lord.
Okay, any house. Okay, okay.
Yeah. In the 11th, that planet is good. But the problem is that 8th house lord in the 11th means basically they will benefit from things that are not very pretty, that are not very easy, or that are not very likable by everybody. So
Okay,
8th house lord in the 11th house means basically they get great gains by transformation of other people and things like that.
all right. Okay.
So
जी, जी. ठीक है, we'll talk about it. Thank you.
retrograde planets in it. Retrograde planets will also do benefits in the 11th house. Every planet will give benefits in the 11th house, including the retrograde planet. If we say in astrology that 8th house lord will give benefit in the 11th house, everything in badness is under the 8th house lord. Because of that, if it gives the benefit, everybody will give the benefit. The only planet that you will not get that much of a benefit in the 11th house is a combustor planet. Combustor planet will give um, less benefits in the 11th house. But it means that if you have a combustor planet in the 11th house, it means that sun is also in the 11th house. Sun is actually the most beneficial planet in the 11th house. Sun will give everything in the 11th house. Like that is one planet which gives. Sun and moon are amazing benefactors in 11th house. So doesn't actually um Every planet, ma'am. Saturn and Moon combination. Saturn will give Saturn's benefit. Moon will give Moon's benefit in the 11th house. There is no actual, no, like Saturn and Moon have complex relationship, but they will not actually give. They also give their individual benefits, and the in 11th house is actually,
But Moon is exalted here in Taurus.
very good. So Moon will give
Yeah.
strong benefits
Yeah,
in the Moon's
Taurus.
time,
Ji, ji,
because
बिल्कुल.
the benefits generally comes in the time of that planet.
जी.
For an example, if Moon and Saturn are actually combined in Taurus in the 11th house, Moon's benefit will come in Moon's time.
Yes.
Saturn's benefit will come in Saturn's time.
Start.
Moon and Saturn combined benefits will come in combined time of Saturn and Moon.
Okay, upright. Okay, ठीक है.
And so everything is actually productive in the 11th house. Now coming to the 12th house. 12th house is the house of losses. 12th house is actually the opposite of the 11th house. Anything that is our weaknesses, anything that we will only get with huge amount of effort, huge amount of striving, like super like long effort, generally only will get very difficultly. That is in the 12th house. So we lose access to a planet if it is in 12th house, unlike the 8th house. 8th house generally you will lose access permanently, so you need to reborn if you want to access a planet in the 8th house. In the same sense, in the 12th house, it will take huge amount of work, almost close to death, almost close to that extent of the work will be necessary to get a planet that is there in the 12th house. Basically, 12th house is one house which make people more bad, influencing bad than the 8th house, because generally if a planet is in the 8th house, they never access that, so they never even have that awareness that such a planetary energy exists. So if you have something in the 8th house, you generally will never access that, and because of that you will never feel like I am actually missing something. But in the 12th house means that you will get it for a while, then it will lose. So that actually means that you will constantly need to you'll feel, you will become aware about its existence, and you will have a feeling that you need to access that. Then it makes you work very hard. So that is the 12th house. In that, why the 8th house and 12th house are moksha houses? Yes. Basically 12th house is the moksha house. Like if you're actually speaking about moksha in the sense of like complete dissolution, of course 12th house is the moksha sthana. But if you're actually thinking moksha as a temporary thing, that means you're actually liberating from one level of existence to another level of existence, that is 8th house. So definitely they are actually, 8th house is very difficult to get. 12th house, 8th house will get through transformation, like you're actually constantly transforming the internal circumstance, and to access the 12th house you need to change the external circumstances. So without changing the external circumstance, that is why one of the easiest way to, like if you have a very nice planet, if your lord of ascendant is in the 12th house, that means if you have such an important planet in the 12th house and you need to access that, it is important for you to access that. One of the easiest ways, you change the external circumstance. That means you forcefully disassociate yourself from your roots. That means you go to a foreign country, you go to a foreign culture, you go to anything like that. So the more you are actually out of your base, the more 12th house is accessible. So that is why it is called as a Dusthana, because you cannot access that staying in your roots, staying in your base. It is very difficult to access. That is why it is called as the Dusthana. But because of that, 12th house is connected with foreign travel, living in a foreign country. In astrological sense, Vedic astrology definitely consider living in a foreign place as a, how to say, like as a bad thing. Like it is your if you are actually well good, if you are lucky, then you will be able to live in the place where you are born. But if you are in need of migration, it means it itself means that you have some levels of bad karma within you. So basically 12th house is actually indicating of that bad karma. So one of the easiest way to access that is to to change the external circumstance completely. And for eighth house to access external circumstance change, maybe not sufficient. You need to change internally who you are. You need to change the very base prakriti. Then only you can access the eighth house. But 12th house basically, the more you're changing the external circumstance, that much it will become accessible. And anything in the 12th, in the 8th, and the 6th is difficult to achieve. 6th is the easiest of the difficult. 12th is the mid, and 8th is the most difficult to achieve. And 12th house Lord, because of that, is 12th house represents a vibration that is connected with our durita, that is connected with our imperfection, that is connected with our weakness, that is connected with our mortality, that is connected with our morbidity, everything like that. So 12th house is considered as a Gusthana. Any planet that is linking to that 12th house, there is only one planet that basically okay in the 12th house, that is Ketu. Ketu is considered to be okay in the 12th house, good planet in the 12th house. The rest of the planets, Venus is in a way very good in 12th house, but in a way very bad also. So that is the status of that. And we are actually giving the note for every planet in all these houses somehow. Not an exact note, but generally, like we cannot say exactly, but general trends. That note will be shared, and it will have that in that. Now coming to the exalted Jupiter in 12th house means, yes, it is to access that Jupiter, you need to change the external circumstance. Otherwise, that exhalation of that Jupiter will be wasted. That means it is like a golden chest whose key is actually forgotten. And to access that key, you need to change you need to change your thinking. You need to change differently from the pattern that your ancestors thought, the pattern that everybody is thinking. Different thinking, out of the box thinking, like being different is actually the only way for you to access that 12th house and access that exalted Jupiter. So it doesn't matter if the planet in the 12th is exalted or debilitated. Yes, it matters, because sometimes 12th house means that it is not totally inaccessible. It will come at certain times of your life, it will become accessible. That means there will be a time that you actually access the 12th house, and understanding its difficulty, that is the time mostly you will hear people saying that I was going through a dark time. And whenever a person is saying that I was going through a dark time, that is generally means that they were accessing their 12th house at that time. Whenever you are accessing the 12th house, you will feel like you are going through a dark time, because it is the house of the bad karma. Because of that, you generally will have one negative experience after another negative experience, and you will feel like you're going through a bad time. That is the difference between 8th and 12th. In the 8th house, whenever you're accessing the 8th house, or whenever you're going through a time of the planet that is connected with the 8th house, you will be ignorant. You will not know that you are actually experiencing a bad time. Only very, very later, you will understand that, oh, it was very bad, it was terrible. But while you're in that ignorance will keep you like good. But in the 12th house, you will not be ignorant. You will know that you're actually going through a dark time, and that is the 12th house. So basically, a debilitated planet in the 12th house will make that dark time more darker. Exalted planet will make that dark time less darker. So the difference is there. Does Ketu give moksha in the 12th house? Kind of. Ketu generally enhances the probability of moksha in the 12th house. The reason for that is because Ketu is actually the planet of fear. And like um, fear in the 12th house means there will be a lot of times where you are not accessing your fears. And there will be times also where you access your fear. That means you will access your fear, and then you will get an interval to work on that. And again, then the next fear will only come after that. So basically, it actually allow you to grow through your fears. So you can actually develop as a person by making your fears as the stones. That means it gives you an opportunity to observe the fears and kind of like go through that illusions of the fear systematically. That is an option that Ketu only give in the 12th house. In every other house, the fear will be almost constant. So you'll never be able to get out of that. Like, you'll never get a chance to get out from that fear and observe that fear. In the 12th house, Ketu gives that opportunity to observe your fears. And if you observe, you will get moksha. If you're not observing, you will not get moksha. That is based on the rest of the planets. Sure. Aspecting means placement means placement, but placement is the most simple one. You will see that planet there. So in Vedic astrology, the light of the planet does not fall on just on the house where it is located. So house is actually a space in which planet the energy is located. So this I believe that part is clear. And the light of the planet is not limited to the space point where it is standing. So the whatever we are actually saying, signs, houses, these are all spaces. So signs are actually houses, but if it is in the world sense, it is called as the signs. But if it is an individual sense, then it is called as the houses. So what is your fifth house? It will always be, the answer will always be a sign. What is your ascendant? It will be a sign. What is your 10th house? It will be a sign. So houses are signs, but it is personal. So sign is general to the world, house is personal to the person. So that is the only difference. And a planet will be placed in a sign. It will influence, definitely it will influence, its light will influence that sign. But there will be also other signs which is influenced by that planet, based on the type of the planet. For an example, every planet will influence the house where it is, and also the seventh house from that. That means if a planet is in Aries, it will definitely influence Aries, and also the seventh house from that. That means Libra. So that influence, where a planet is influencing a sign without being present there, but its light is falling there, that influence is the reason. That is influence in astrology is what we call aspects. Sanskrit word is actually drishti. Drishti means looking. So where a planet is staying, where a planet is looking, every planet will look to the seventh house from it. Why every planet is looking towards the seventh house is because that is basic. That is not basic, that is advanced. But in the basic, it is important to know that every planet will look to the seventh house, from where it is actually staying. Certain planets have more than one level of aspect. There are actually like 3 planets basically: Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. They will have a drishti to the houses more than that. That means they actually will influence. Um, Jupiter will influence, apart from the 7th house, it will influence the 5th house and the 9th house from where it is staying. That means if Jupiter is in Aries, it will influence Libra, which is the 7th house, obviously. And then it will influence Leo, which is the 5th house, and Sagittarius, which is the 9th house. So that influence without the placement, the influence without the placement, just the light travels there, and that light traveling influence is basically what we call the drishti or aspect. Is that clear, ma'am? Sure. So basically, that is the difference, but it is very important because aspect is like we generally say um, like a child is actually showing some trouble, how the sight of the father is making him or her like fall into track. That is the example of aspect. So a planet's light will travel, and even though the planet is not situated there, the house will begin to get influenced by that planet. And aspect, like the pure sense, the pure influence is only for the 7th house aspect. The special aspects does not have that much of an impact as the 7th house aspect. The reason is 7th house is actually the immediate house after the ascendant. So the first house is ascendant, which is the first point. 7th house is the next point. So every planet has got like full control on its own state, or like on its own point where it is staying, and the next point where it is also have that side. It is just under its eyes. Do Rahu and Ketu have more aspects than only one? No, it only have the 7th house aspect. Is aspect equally strong as planets placed there? Yes. 7th house aspect is equally considered equally strong as the placement of the planet. But the planet's strength will be influenced by the house where it is staying. For an example, Jupiter influencing Cancer by staying in the Cancer, and Jupiter influencing Cancer from staying in Capricorn is not the same. I hope you understand. Because that Jupiter's strength is different. Jupiter will influence Cancer from staying in Cancer and also in Capricorn. But that how much is the influence, that will be different, because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, it is debilitated in Capricorn. But it will definitely influence. Yes. So that are the houses. Any questions in any of the house?
Dr. Vikas, I do have a quick question. You mentioned that the 9th house represents medicines and healing,
Yes.
and I thought that that was correlated with the 6th house.
6th house is the house of diseases. Disease. So what is the opposite of healing? Anti-healing inside us. Like whatever the factors are actually healing prohibitors inside us, that is 6th house. Healing is the 9th house.
Okay, because I've heard that you can see medical professionals, people in the healing professions from the 6th house.
Yeah, surely that is a probability. Why? Because 6th house generally create awareness regarding the disease. 6th house is the house of diseases, and it generally create awareness regarding diseases, and because of that, it is like it is actually very positive for a medical professional. But 9th house, on the other hand, is actually your healing. That means, however strong a disease comes, a person who is having strong ninth house will be able to heal that. So basically, whether a person will survive a disease or not survive a disease, whether the medicines act, if somebody has got a weak ninth house, they will need to take medicines way more time than a normal person. So if a normal person only need to take 2 weeks medicines, if you have a very, very weak ninth house, you may need to take that for 4 months, because that much time it will take for that medicine to act. The rulers of each house is determined by who is actually the ruler of that sign. So each sign has got a permanent ruler, and that ruler is actually determining the ruler of that house. But the placement is actually what give us the access of the house. So all the 12 houses are different frequencies, and the first house or ascendant is our base frequency. So anything in the first house is basically very good for us, or like, I will not say even good, it is very connected to us, because it is very close to that planet's frequency inside us is very close to our base frequency. So most of the time we will fall into that planetary energy. So if the ruler of the ninth house is a bad planet, that is an astrologically irrelevant statement. Ruler of ninth house is considered to be one planet that is not a bad planet. Ruler of ninth house, the probability of being the ruler of the ninth house and a bad planet is only one planet has got that. That is why in most of the cases it is a bad planet. That is Saturn. So Saturn, for Gemini ascendant, Saturn actually is the ruler of eighth house and also the ruler of the ninth house. That is the only case where the ruler of ninth house became a bad planet, because it also have the lordship of the ninth house. Jupiter for Cancer ascendant is not a bad planet, because Jupiter's other rulership is sixth house. Sixth house rulership will get nullified by the ninth house rulership. Sixth house rulership will get nullified by the ninth house rulership. So for Cancer ascendant, Jupiter is not a bad planet. That means Cancer ascendant being Jupiter present in the Cancer, it will not show the results of the sixth house more. It will show the results of the ninth house more. So for Jupiter ascendant, Saturn for Taurus ascendant is the Yoga Karaka. Saturn actually is one of the best planets for the Taurus ascendant. Any Taurus ascendant without a strong Saturn will struggle in life.
Dr. Vikas, I still I got a little bit stuck with the fact that you said that placement is equally strong than aspecting, so the drishti. Is that correct?
Seventh house drishti.
Sorry?
Yes, the significant. I will not say strong. Significant. Okay. Placement is actually equally significant to seventh house aspect.
What is the difference then between the placement and the drishti?
The difference is the planet's strength. For an example, like one example, like Mars in Aries.
Yeah.
Mars in Aries will influence Aries with very strong energy. Mm-hmm. Very strong energy. Why? Because Mars is very strong in Aries. Mm. Mars in Libra will also influence Aries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with weak energy. So the influence will be the same, but energy will not be the same.
Of course, so, but that would that not be the same if Mars would be placed in sorry, did you say in Virgo?
No, Libra.
Libra, sorry.
Yes, because Libra, it is the seventh house aspect, no? Libra is the seventh house of Aries.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
sorry.
Mars in the Libra will also influence Aries. Mars in the Aries will also influence Aries.
Exactly.
The influence will be there for both.
Yeah.
but the Mars's strength in these two houses are quite different.
Of course, because of the house, right? Because of the sign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even though the influence is equal, the impact of that influence will be not the same.
No, of course, but that impact would be the same. Rather, Mars would be placed in Libra. So in Libra, the impact would be smaller, right? Or less weaker. And the aspecting on the...
For example, Mars, that is a very good example. Mars placed in Libra will be influenced. So Mars placed in Libra will influence the Libra sign. That influence will be lesser than influence of Mars that is placed in Aries and aspecting the Libra.
Ah, okay. Yes, clear.
Because the power of the Mars is very higher in Aries.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
So if somebody has got Mars in Aries aspecting the Libra, and somebody has got Mars in Libra, the positivity of that Mars will be much higher in the Aries and aspecting the Libra.
So that means actually that the aspect in the drishti actually takes along also the placement, right? So it takes the sum up of the planet in placement.
Very correct.
Okay, thank you.
In the placement, the energy of the strength of the planet is actually completely influenced by the placement.
Yeah, good.
But whether that strength will reach that house or not, that is also connected with aspect.
Yeah, super. Thank you very much.
So for an example, I will give that earlier example. Mars in Libra. But Libra actually is the 7th house. So Aries is the ascendant of the person. Libra is the 7th house. Mars in that Libra is actually a bad planet for the relationship. Aries ascendant. Libra is the 7th house. Mars in that Libra is a bad planet for the relationship. We will call it Kuja dosha. In Vedic astrology, that is generally the relationships, not one ships, will be bad. Same situation. Mars, same person, Aries ascendant. Mars is in the ascendant. It will influence the 7th house, Libra. That influence will be very beneficial. Their relationships will be generally very good, because the strength of the Mars is different in both scenarios. Yes. So, any questions?
I had another question on the times, because you now often mention the times of the planet, or that rather that, for example, a planet will become accessible to a person, for example, the 12th house you were talking, that it just becomes accessible for a certain period of time. And I don't know if we mentioned already the times of the planets or that part.
No, ma'am. The times of the planet is also called as dasha, like the periods, dasha. We will discuss that to the end of the course.
Okay, good. Then we can leave it at that.
Yes. And also, like, basically, times of the planets means inevitable impact. That means you can access a planet at any time. You can access. In the periods of that planet, the planet will access you.
Ah, okay. Beautiful.
So you are accessing a planet by your thoughts, words, and action. The planet will access you by time.
Okay.
Planets are actually agents of time. They will access you at their own time. But if that planet is good, or like if it is beneficial for us to access back, then by our thoughts, by our words, by our actions, we can access that planet inside our horoscope.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, it is actually written in the notes of Saturn and Mars, I believe, but I will say one more time. For Mars, it will have an impact, or it will have a drishti to 4th house. and also 8th house. So from whichever sign Mars is staying, Mars will influence the 4th sign and also the 8th sign from that. That means from Aries, Mars will influence Cancer, and also it will influence Libra, which is the 7th, and also it will influence the 8th, Scorpio. Saturn, on the other hand, it will influence the 3rd and the 10th sign from where it is. That means along with the 7, it will influence the 3rd and the 10th. That means Saturn in the Aries will influence Gemini and will influence the 10th, which is Capricorn. Saturn will influence Capricorn and Saturn will influence Gemini while it is in the Aries. And obviously it will influence the Libra.
Dr. Vikas, something that we didn't talk about in any of my previous courses, I was unaware that, because we looked at things in a very different way. So I wasn't aware that certain planets in certain houses will bring about a general effect. So that's generally true regardless of the houses that they own. Because that's how we looked at it, what houses they own and where that influences were being placed. But the planet itself placed in a house will generally create an effect, regardless of what houses it owns.
Obviously. House ownership only make a planet friendly to us, not friendly to us. So houses are actually frequencies. Planets owning that house means that planet actually vibrate in that frequency. So basically, it actually means that it will be either favorable for us or unfavorable for us. For an example, like for a Taurus ascendant, is Jupiter a benefic or a malefic? For Taurus ascendant, we generally will say Jupiter is benefic. But for Taurus ascendant, is it a benefic or a malefic? Malefic. Why?
Because it owns the 8th house, but it also owns the 11th house.
Of course. And what gain is there after you die? 11th house is the gain and 8th house is the death. What gain is there after you die? So 11th house's ownership does not mean anything compared to the impact of the 8th house ownership. That means every time that Jupiter like do something, it will feel like death for the Taurus. For a Taurus ascendant person, impact of Jupiter will feel like death. That's why it is a malefic. So the house lordship is what actually determine whether a planet is actually malefic or benefic. The placement in the house Jupiter is not malefic in the first house of Taurus ascendant. For Taurus ascendant, if the 8th house lord is actually in the ascendant, that means you can access that Jupiter perfectly. It cannot be said as a benefic or a malefic completely. It cannot be said as a benefic. It cannot also be said as a malefic, because it means that you can access that transformation. Means that you can access that transformation that is provided by that Jupiter. That means you can access the good side of the Jupiter because of its placement in the ascendant. So it cannot be considered as a benefic, cannot be considered as a malefic, can be considered as a neutral planet. To access Jupiter, you need to have Jupiterian activities. One of that activities is like listening, reading, things like that. Yes. No. Debilitation does not weaken a maleficness of a malefic planet. Debilitation actually enhances. You are probable to get more biting from a viper than a king cobra. The probability of a viper biting you is very high than the probability of a king cobra biting you. Why? Because the weaker the planet, the more bad it will be. The planets, like, even if it's a malefic for you, even if it is everything, if it is very strong, if it is strong, it will be like, controlled in its destruction. But if that malefic is also weak, then it does not have any control on the power of destruction that is unleashing. Yes. So if I'm getting it right, that anytime when the sign lord is influencing its own sign, yes, it is good. Sign lord is influencing that sign is actually good. Because sign lord influencing the sign means sign lord get connected to the sign. That means if the eighth house lord is actually influencing the eighth house, what does that mean? If the eighth house lord is influencing the eighth house, or like placed in the eighth house, what does that mean? Death of the death, which is good, which is longevity. Death of the death means longevity. So if the eighth house lord is influencing the eighth house, it means longevity. 10th house lord is influencing the 10th. What does that means? Eighth house lord in 10th means destruction of karma. Eighth house lord in the 10th house means destruction of, from, about, with karma. The 10th house. Eighth house lord is a planet that generally will make difficulties in any houses other than the 6th, 12th, and 8th house. 8th house is basically like that destructive frequency, the frequency in which you are not going to survive happily, or you are not going to stay happily. That coming into the 10th house means the more that person work, the more how to say, like, destroyed that person will get. So 8th house lord in the 10th house means the more you're accessing your 10th house, the more you're accessing that frequency, you're also along with that, you're actually accessing your decaying frequency, your dying frequency. They generally will die themselves in the work.
Dr. Vikas, can we return a little bit to the eighth house and Lord of eighth house? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Like the death of death?
The lord of the eighth house means, eighth house means death. The lord of the eighth house means the planet which have the frequency that is most connected with your death.
Yes. And then if that Lord is placed or aspecting the eighth house,
it means that death is connected with death. Death's death.
okay.
Death
And
of
what?
the death.
Yes.
Death of
No.
the death is actually longevity.
Yeah.
Negative into negative.
Yeah. It's minus is plus. And what if there are other planets accompanying the Lord of the house or in eighth house?
Any planet in the eighth house, you cannot access that without dying.
Yeah, but so
If
if
you have
then
a planet in the eighth house, you are accessing that, which means that you are also in that process dying. It is like that fly accessing the light.
But then
process, it is also dying.
Yes, but if the ruler of the eighth house is there or aspecting, does it then mean the death of the death mostly for the energy of that planet or also for the other planets that are possibly in the eighth house?
If Lord of the eighth is in the eighth along with the other planets, so in general sense, that person will live longer, but that person will experience micro deaths whenever they are accessing the other planets that is inside that house.
Okay, clear.
Provided they are not the rulers of the 6th or the 12th or 6th or 12th. The only planets which give benefit in the 8th house is 6th house Lord, 12th house Lord, 8th house Lord.
Okay, perfect.
All the three are actually considered auspicious positions in Vedic astrology because it is connection.
Yeah.
So 8th house Lord in the 10th house means 8th and 10th house become connected.
Yeah, makes sense.
8th house Lord in the 10th house means 8th and 10th become connected. So basically, they should be very careful on how they are doing the work, where they are doing the work, what types of work they are doing. They all have that ability of destruction. The work frequency is a river like going like this, where it is constantly intersected by the destructive frequency. So they should be very careful in what they are doing, and they should be very careful in how they are forming their career. They should be very careful in how they are working with their own karma.
Dr. Vikas, I'm curious. You said that the order of difficulty of accessing planets goes from 6th easiest, 8th more difficult, 12th more difficult.
No, ma'am. 6th easier, 12th more difficult, 8th very, very difficult.
Okay. So what would you said, but if you want to access those planets, you have to undergo some change. 12th, you said you have to move and do something differently. 8th, you have to kind of like almost like die yourself. What
Yeah,
about 6th house? Like, what do you have to
you should
do?
face the challenges. So instead of running away from the challenges, you should go through the challenges. Then you will access the planet in the 6th house.
So if you have strongly placed planets in the 6th, 8th, and 12th, you're more likely to be able to access those planets by doing what is required. Is that?
No, I will not say that you are more likely to access that planet, but it is more beneficial for you to access that houses. If a very good planet is in the 8th house, it is worth dying for. So accessing a house means connecting with that frequency. That means each house is representative of that frequency. So whenever you are actually doing something connected with that, you are accessing that house. That means whenever you are actually speaking, you are accessing two houses. One is actually second house, which is the house of speech, and you are accessing the seventh house, which is actually the house of connectivity. When you are actually speaking to yourself, you're not speaking to anybody else, you're speaking to yourself, you're actually accessing the second house. So accessing a house means you're doing you're spending your energy in thoughts, words, or action that is connected with that house. So basically you're speaking, you're accessing your second house. You're thinking, you're accessing your fifth house. How to say, you are doing spirituality, you're accessing your ninth house. You are doing a job, you're accessing your 10th house. So thank you. What if the house lord of 8th is placed in either 6th or 12th house, but is weak in that placement because of the rulership? I don't know how it become weak because of the rulership. This idea I didn't get. But otherwise, it is actually good. It is we call it Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga means like royal position. Sixth house, 8th house, 12th house lords placed in 6th or 8th or 12th is considered to be Viparit Rajayoga. That means they will get benefit from bad circumstances.
Is that true even if they are conjunct other planets? I've heard it has to be a pure placement, no other planets conjunct or
No, like if another planet is conjuncted, it will give the result of that position, but the person will suffer, or the person will experience the bad effect of that another planet also. So it cannot actually nullify the bad results of the other planet, but it will give its own result whenever it is actually influencing the person. If you can die and you can born in this body again, the chart still holds. So as long as you can die and born again in this body, the chart still holds. Chart will disappear, or like become irrelevant when you are dead and you born in another body. So if you can die and come back in the body, then you can access that eighth house. Is that a possibility to be born again in the same body? I don't know how much of practitioners of spirituality is there. If it is there, definitely one of the spiritual experiences is actually to die of the existing existence and again getting a new existence in the same body. So getting a new inner body in the same outer body is a spiritual experience. But that is what we call the enlightenment, where we are actually associating ourselves with the light. Then the eighth house is accessible. So basically, it is saying that you will access your eighth house when you are actually enlightened. The more closer to the enlightenment you are, the more you will begin to access your eighth house.
Dr. Vikas, I have a question and I hope I can word it well. You said, the 6th, 8th, and 12th are inaccessible, but if you have planets in those houses, like I'm trying to make this distinction clear because, for example, I've heard that, sixth house, and I'm not sure if this holds in your system. So I've heard that sixth house can represent lawyers, doctors, people who basically deal with kind of more like stressful circumstances,
No,
legal,
no, no.
health.
Sixth
So
house
are you
represents lawyers, doctors, etc., because they gain from the pain of the others.
right?
If somebody
But
is living harmoniously, they never need a doctor or a lawyer. They
right.
that is represented because they gain from the challenge of the others.
Right. But if uh but if a person has planets in those houses, would that still not like would they still not be able to do that career because the house is inaccessible? Or would that house have to be associated, that lord of the house have to be in another house for that energy to be accessible? I'm not sure if I'm wording it very well.
No, ma'am. Like just because having a planet in the sixth house will not make a person a lawyer or a doctor or anything like that. It only means that if they become a lawyer or a doctor, that will be good for them.
Right, no,
So
no, no. But
if
what
you
I'm saying is that it's possible for them. It's not inaccessible for them with the placement because you said the sixth house is
no, ma'am,
inaccessible.
think about this like this: to access a sixth house lord, or like to access not lord, to access a planet in the sixth house, you need to go through the challenges. If you become a doctor, if you become a lawyer, then you eventually are going through challenges. A doctor will not get any like money without facing the disease. Lawyer will not get any life without going through the conflict. If there is no conflict, what is the purpose of the lawyer? So if you are actually becoming a doctor or a lawyer, it is beneficial for you then to have a strong sixth house, because you will get more benefit from your practice. So whether you will become a doctor or a lawyer is not connected with your sixth house. It is connected with your first house. It is connected with your second. It is connected with fourth. It is connected with ninth. But once you become a doctor, once you become a lawyer, how much will be your practice, or how successful will be your practice? That is based on the sixth and the sixth house. Because if they have a planet in the sixth house, like the sixth house is very strong, then they will have generally a very good practice. It also means that they will find people who are in conflict. They will find people who are sick. They will actually benefit. Like, benefit of a doctor is a negative outcome in the world. Doctor benefits only when the world is sick. Lawyer benefit only when the world is in conflict. So though that will be, they will be actually in a conflicted part of the world, and they will get benefit out of that. That is what it means. Sixth house means getting benefit from the conflicts. Strong sixth house placement. For example, Saturn or like Mars in the sixth house, they will benefit from war. They will be very best for them to be weapon selling, because war is the factor that is going to benefit them most. And these lawyers' professions, doctors' professions, they are actually very similar to war. Sixth house is the house of service.
In pretty much all Parashara, that's how it's viewed. And I've heard that interpretation from pretty much everyone. That's why I'm just trying to see how, like, because I want to see if this is an idea I should modify, basically.
No, sixth. If you have a planet in the sixth house, it's basically very good for you to do service. There is no question regarding that. Because sixth planet's placement in the sixth house shows inherent impurities of that person. A planet in the sixth house shows inherent impurities, and to purify that, service is actually a very good thing. So more and more you become pure, more and more accessible will be the planet in the sixth house. So in that sense, service is a very good thing for them to do. That is true.
Dr. Vikas, can I ask you a question, or rather return to my question? If the house lord is aspecting the house, we figured it's a good thing. But what if
that house? Yes.
Yeah, what if that lord is like depending on his strengths? Does it matter if he's again exalted or just strong or debilitated? So what does that make with the quality of this drishti?
The quality of the drishti is connected by the strength of the planet. That means if that house lord is aspecting the house from a point of exhalation, that is great. That means Mars aspecting Aries from Capricorn.
Yeah.
That is very, very strong. Very good.
Yeah. And what if it's weak? It's kind of still good, right? But
it is good. It is still good, but it will give very like a rich father and a poor mother. So if father is rich, father will give say 1% of wealth for you, and that wealth is in millions. And the mother is poor, she may give 100% of her wealth, but it still will be like in thousands. See, think about that. So the drishti means that you will get that, but the size of what you are actually getting is based on the strength of that planet.
But it's going to be good anyways. Just a little good or a big good, but it's not going to be bad. If the Lord is debilitated,
it's always good, no? Something is always good than nothing.
Yeah, that was my main quality question. So if the Lord is debilitated, it's not going to turn the good into bad.
If Lord is debilitated, it will give you good, but on a very small scale, not as expected as by you.
Okay, thank you.
Before assessing what we can get from the planet, it is very important to assess the strength of the planet. Because if it is not strong, not so much. And the accessibility of that planet, because if that planet is not accessible, it doesn't actually matter how strong how strong that planet is. For an example, Sun exalted in the eighth house. For example, Sun exalted in the eighth house. It means that you will have a great father who is not speaking to you. So what is the point? So now coming to the why the sixth house shows the person's sixth house is the frequency that is connected with the impurities. So if a planet is there in the sixth house, it means that that person has got impurities connected with that energy of that planet. Sixth house is the impurities frequency. Any planet inside that is actually showing the impurities. And also that is why sixth house is actually the diseases, because if you are very pure, you cannot be sick. The impurities is actually what making you susceptible for diseases. Impurities, imperfections, that is sixth house.
Dr. Vikas, can we just for a moment return still to you now gave this example of Sun in the eighth house, right? As a father that you don't have access to, exalted. So in Aries then. What if the Sun would be in the eighth house in Leo, so in its own house? Mostly what I was wondering is what happens with the access to the energy with death or with the
They
longevity?
cannot access that energy.
Sorry?
If Sun is in the eighth house in the Leo,
Yeah.
without they go through a huge transformation, they will not access that energy. But if Sun is in the eighth house in the Leo, it is actually very good for them to go through that transformation, because it is worthful to access that.
Yeah, I get
So
it.
earlier I said like a planet to die for.
Exactly.
Sun
Yeah.
in the eighth house is actually, if Sun is in the eighth house and it is in Leo, it is actually a planet to die for.
Yes. But again, regarding the death, right? Because you said that if the planet in the eighth house it's also the ruler of that house.
That is true. That Sun will give them longevity, definitely, but they will not be able to access the attributes of Sun. For an example, like self-awareness, or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
royalty, or like the light of the soul. These things they will not be able to access, or father. So
Yeah.
Sun will give them the longevity. Like Sun can access them, they cannot access the Sun.
Okay, right. So the access still stays even if the ruler is in the house,
Yes,
in the eighth
yes,
house,
yes.
you still cannot
Still the
access.
access stays. Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
but basically, if Sun is in the ruler of the eighth house, um, Sun does not have the badness of the eighth lordship. This I think I have explained in the last class. Sun and Moon are the only planets
Only
which
two,
does
yes.
not have the badness of the eighth lordship.
Yeah. Well, I have a Mercury there, so that's but thank you. Thank you.
About the impurities of mind. Yes, ma'am. Sixth house also represents the impurities of the mind. Yes. Basically, we will say sixth house is the second house of the mind, a fifth house. Fifth mind is actually fifth house. Sixth house is actually the second house of the mind. Second house is actually the words. This is complex. If you don't understand, don't think about that. There is no need to understand this now. But if you can understand, you understand. Like sixth house is actually the second house of the fifth house. Fifth house is the mind. Sixth house is the second house of the fifth house. Second house is actually speaking. So sixth house is actually the mind's speech, which means that if mind is pure, very, very pure, it will not speak. So it happens, silence happens when the mind become more pure. We are speaking because of the mind is bit impure. So mind's impurity is what making us speak. That is why like very small children will not speak, because their mind is so pure that there is no need for them to speak. If you understand, I'm not going to explain it further, but if you understand, if you understand.
That's okay.
You can
Thank you
actually
so much.
connect.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's easier to understand with the little children. That was a very
Yes.
thank you.
Yes. Why they don't speak? They are not having enough impurity to speak. So once they get the impurity from our connection and our food and everything, that is when they begin to speak.
Thank you.
Okay. So now there is certain things like kendras, trikonas, etc. So kendras are actually the house that are most accessible for us. And the kendras are actually called as the 1, 4, 7, 10 houses. The ascendant, the 4th house, the 7th house, and the 10th house, they are called as kendras. They are the houses which are the most accessible, and most of the planets are basically good there. I'm not saying good, but will have some impact. That is the kendras. The first house, the 4th house, the 7th house, and the 10th house, they are called as kendras. Kendras means centers, because for most of the humans, life is centered around these factors. The first house is oneself, 4th house is the happiness or like the living place, 7th house is the relationship, 10th house is the job. If you take 100 people, for 98 people, the life will be centered around that. Because the life is actually centered around that, they are actually called as the centers or kendras. And any planet in the kendras generally will be more accessible and generally will be accessible faster. So you will get a faster access to a planet that is in the kendras. That means more planets are there in the kendra, the earlier you will begin to manifest yourself. Second is 2nd house, 5th house, 8th house, and 11th house. They generally are called as Panapara houses. Panapara. They are actually able to access, you will be able to access that a bit later than Kendra. So you understand that 2nd house is speech. Speech is not something that you can access at the first. 2nd house is also wealth. Wealth is not something to be accessed when you're very young. And decay, or like the destruction of the body, you will not access that when you are very young. Only after a point you will begin to get that. Yeah, like that. So 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 11th houses are actually considered as Panapara, which you will access kind of like in the middle time of your life. Then comes the apoklima, the 3rd, the 6th, the 9th, and the 12th houses are called as apoklima. Basically, you will access those houses very late in life. Generally, a planet placed in those houses, its impact will be mostly seen in the later portion of your life. That means if you have a very good planet in the spiritual house, you will get the benefit of that planet. You will get the power of that planet only in the later stages of your life. So that is the apoklima. The 3, the 6, the 9th, and the 12th houses are called as apoklima. They will be the least, like they will be the farthest. That means it will take more time for you to access them, and it will take more time for you to get any benefits out of them, or badness out of them. For an example, like 12th house is one of the badness of 12th house is losing the job. So you will only get that badness after you getting a job. So it will take time for them to show their goodness and the badness. So it is all time based. Kendras you will get first. Any planet in the Kendras is highly accessible. You will get its benefits first. Panapara you will get a bit later. Apoklima you will get at the end, basically the end part of the life. Now, another classification is Upachaya. Upachaya means growth. So the 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 11th houses are called as Upachaya sthanas. Any planet there will help you grow. Any planet in the 3rd house will help you grow. Any planet in the 6th house, through its actions, it will help you grow. Any planet in the 10th house will help you grow. Any planet in the 11th house will help you grow. That is the Upachaya sthanas. And Trikonas. Trikona in Vedic symbol system represents ascent or descent. So going up or going down. So that actually the ascendant, the 5th house, the 9th house forms a triangle. Based on that triangle, you will go up or you will go down. That means if your first house, the 5th house and 9th house are good, you will go up. If they are bad, you will go down. That means you will either progress or digress in life based on these 3 houses. First house is you, 5th house is your son, 9th house is your father. So basically, based on these 3 houses, you go up or you go down. That is why they are called as a trikona or a triangle or a trine. So these are the names for the houses, and by that it is concluded. So if you have any questions regarding the last set things or anything in general, you can put that in the group. I will try to answer.
Dr. Vikas, when we go, will we go over Vimshotri Dasha in this course?
Yes, definitely. At the end, yes, we will go.
And then can we then talk about how if that Dasha is running a planet in the 6th, 8th, or 12th, how that will show up? Because
Yes,
that
definitely.
could be
Yes.
okay, cool. Thank you.
The Dusthanas, we have said that in the previous class. The 6th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house are called as the Dusthanas. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.